Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be focusing on a hip and glute mobility routine that will help you improve flexibility, release tension, and enhance your overall performance in your workouts and daily activities, not to mention strengthening and sculpting your hips, glutes, and inner thighs. Let's get started. The first exercise is the bent knee fallout. Lie flat on your back with one leg extended and the other leg bent to 90 degrees at the knee and the foot on the floor. Gently let your one leg with the bent knee fall out to the side while keeping the other leg straight and the hips steady so that one hip does not rise above the height of the other. Bring it back to the center and repeat for reps. The bent knee fallout helps improve hip mobility and core stability. The core stability aspect comes from keeping your pelvis stationary and steady as the other leg moves out. The bent knee fallout also helps improve coordination and activate the muscles around your hips and glutes. You should feel a nice, gentle stretching, strengthening, and toning effect on the inner thigh or adductor muscle, but it's also helping to open up around the hip joint capsule itself. For the bent knee fallout, you can do anywhere from 2 to 3 sets of 12 to 20 reps on each leg. In this routine, I did 3 sets of 15. You don't really need to take a lot of rest in between because one leg will be resting while you're working the other, and you can run right through your 2 to 3 sets of 12 to 20 reps without rest. Next is fire hydrants. This is a very beneficial exercise and strengthens the hip in a direction where a lot of people are weak. Start on all fours with your hands under your shoulders and your knees under your hips. Keeping your spine neutral, raise one leg out to the side as far as you feel comfortable. Ideally, you want to try to get the thigh close to parallel to the floor, but do not sacrifice form. Try to keep your pelvis stationary so one hip does not raise a lot higher than the other. Lower it back down and repeat for 10 to 15 reps, then switch sides. Fire hydrants are great for strengthening your glutes, improving hip stability, and increasing overall hip mobility. You're not trying to raise the leg as high as you can. You want to keep your core tight and your pelvis relatively stationary. You want to keep the focus on the hip and glute. At a certain point, if you try to go too high and you're not flexible or mobile enough, you'll start to rotate and use other muscles and take the focus off of the hip and glute. So just raise your leg as high enough as you feel comfortable, where you don't feel your pelvis rotating or turning as you're doing it. You should feel a nice burn in your hip and glute at the end of your sets. Fire hydrants work a lot of major muscle groups in the body, but the main movers are the gluteus medius. So you're going to feel a solid burn in the side of your hip or in the side of your butt cheek while you're doing this exercise towards the end of your sets. But because you're in an all fours or quadruped position and you're stabilizing and bracing yourself as you're raising that leg out to the side, you're also going to be using a lot of muscles in your core, a lot of muscles in your upper body, and in that bracing leg as well. For fire hydrants, you can do 2 to 3 sets, 10 to 15 reps. In this routine, I did 3 sets of 10. You can alternate legs with very little or no rest, but you can definitely take 20 to 30 seconds of rest after you do one on each leg, if you need to. Now I'm going to move on to the pelvic tilt. Lie on your back with your knees bent and your feet flat on the floor. Gently lift your pelvis up towards the ceiling, flattening your lower back against the floor, drawing your belly in. Hold for a second or two, then release. This exercise helps to engage your core and lower back muscles, promoting better pelvic control and stability, which can reduce lower back pain. It also is a really good light core exercise, so this is where some of the core comes in. For the pelvic tilt, you can do 2 sets of 15 to 20 reps. Make sure you keep your lower back pressed into the ground. Make sure the motion's coming through the pelvis. Notice how when I lift into the contraction, my pelvis is more in line with my thighs, and when I relax down into the eccentric phase, it's more in line with my body or my trunk. Next is the bridge. Lying on your back with your feet flat on the floor and your knees bent at 90 degrees, you're going to press through your heels to lift your hips up towards the ceiling, Squeezing your glutes at the top, you're going to hold for a second and then lower back down. Glute bridges not only strengthen, tone, and shape your glutes and hips, but also engage your hamstrings and lower back, improving hip stability and overall lower body and core strength. For the glute bridge, you can do 2 to 3 sets of 10 to 15 reps with 20 to 30 seconds of rest in between sets. Forward hip or leg swings. Stand straight with your feet about hip distance apart. Place one hand on the side of a wall or on a solid stationary object. Kick one leg forward and then let it swing back behind you without leaning way too far forward or bending backward. In other words, try to keep your upper body upright, but allow some flex and stay somewhat loose as you move through the range of motion. But at the same time, make sure it's a controlled motion. You don't want your motion to be too loose or out of control. For forward hip swings, you can do 1 to 2 sets of 10 to 20 reps on each leg. Forward hip swings are great for loosening up your hip flexors and hamstrings, increasing dynamic flexibility and range of motion. Make sure to hold on to something for balance with one hand and allow your leg to move fluidly and loosely. You don't want your leg to be stiff or rigid as you're moving it through this range of motion. You're initiating the motion and it's occurring through the hip, but allow the rest of your leg to stay loose as it's moving through the middle of the kicking motion. Now moving on to lateral hip swings, also known as side hip swings. Again, stand with your feet hip distance apart. Place one hand on a wall like I'm doing here, or hold on to a solid object for stability. Swing one leg side to side in a controlled motion for 10 to 20 reps and repeat for 1 to 2 sets on each side. This exercise improves lateral hip mobility, enhancing balance and coordination, which is essential for activities that involve side to side movements. It's also going to gently stretch, strengthen, and tone your inner thigh and outer hip and glute. Downward dog with twisted lunge. From downward dog, step one foot forward into a lunge, placing the foot outside the hands. Reach the inside arm up towards the ceiling, rotating through your trunk, looking up towards the sky as you rotate and reach that top arm up. Go back to downward dog and then alternate sides for a total of 3 to 4 reps on each side. This dynamic movement combines a full body stretch with a deep lunge and twist, enhancing hip mobility, spinal rotation, and even core strength. Then moving into a full cobra just as a quick counter movement to down dog and a nice stretch to open up the front of the hips and pelvis before going into the next set of down dog with twisted lunge. For down dog with twisted lunge, you can do 3 to 4 reps on each side or 6 to 8 reps total, and you can do 2 to 3 sets, using cobra pose to take a 20 to 30 second rest between each set. But of course, you can always stand up or walk around. Next is the lunge stretch, also known as dragon pose in yoga. You're going to step one foot forward into a long or deep lunge, keeping the other leg extended back behind you. Sink your hips down towards the floor, feeling the stretch in your hip flexors, groin, and glute. Hold anywhere from 20 to 60 seconds and then switch sides. This deep lunge stretch helps to open up the hips, improve flexibility, relieves tightness in the hip flexors and groin, and even in the ankles and knees as well. For dragon pose, you can do 1 to 3 sets of 20 to 60 seconds. You can alternate legs with no rest in between. You can do one longer hold or you can do several shorter holds. Try to ease deeper into the stretch as you hold it, especially if you're doing one longer hold. If you're doing several shorter holds, you can try to work into it with each successive set. But notice here how my knee moves into the stretch and goes well over my toe line towards the end of it, and I'm lengthening my back leg back as well. From that lunge position or dragon pose, I'm just going to readjust a little bit and then move into the twisted dragon. For the right side twisted dragon, you're going to turn to the right, reach your right arm back, and grab on to the left ankle or the left foot. Gently pull the ankle towards the hip, stretching the hip flexor on the front of the left thigh and the glute and hip, the back of the right leg. This is a multi-action stretch, stretching multiple muscles all at once and stretching the hips on opposite sides or in opposite directions. Twisted Dragon adds a spinal twist to the deep hip stretch, enhancing flexibility and mobility both in your hips and spine. Now moving on to left side dragon. So the left foot is forward. You're going to take your left hand and reach back and grab onto the right foot or the right ankle. You're going to pull the ankle towards the hip till you feel the stretch in the hip flexor and the front of that right thigh. And you're going to be stretching the hip and glute in the back of the left leg as well. Adding in the rotation to reach for that back leg. You're also going to be stretching through your spine. For Twisted Dragon, you can do 1 to 3 sets of 20 to 60 seconds. You can do one long hold or you can do several shorter holds. Of course, if this is really tough, you can just do like 5 or 10-second holds, and you can always back off to the regular dragon like we did earlier. The next one is a classic stretch, the butterfly. Bring the soles of your feet together and let your knees fall out to the sides, creating a diamond shape with your legs. Hold on to your feet or ankles with your hands to start and draw your chest down towards your feet as far as you feel comfortable. This is a gentle stretch. You don't have to force or pull too hard. Just allow your body to relax into it as far as it will go. Hold it there, focus on your breathing, and allow your body to relax more into the stretch as you hold it. You can use your hands to gently assist, but again, don't force or pull too hard. Feel free to experiment with your position a little bit. You can have your feet a little bit further out, or you can draw them a little bit closer in. You can sit up tall. You can relax down and forward like I'm doing here. You can grab onto your feet. You can place your hands on the floor. You can try to straighten your arms and reach out in front, stretching forward and downward at the same time, stretching through the spine and through the hips and inner thighs all at once. The butterfly stretch increases flexibility in the inner thighs, hips, and groin, making it easier to perform daily activities and various exercises. By opening up the hips, the butterfly stretch improves hip mobility, which is essential for movements like squats, lunges, and even walking. Stretching the hip and groin muscles with a stretch like the butterfly stretch can also help alleviate tension in the lower back. Holding gentle stretches like the butterfly can also help reduce stress and promote relaxation. Because it's not very intense, you don't have to force it, and it's easy to relax into this pose. You can hold it for longer periods of time and still be comfortable. But you can just hold it for a minute or two for one set, or for at least 30 seconds. And the final stretch for today is the lying figure 4 stretch. Lie on your back with your knees bent and feet flat on the floor. Cross your left ankle over your right knee, creating a 4 shape. Lace your arms through and gently pull your right thigh towards your chest while pressing your left knee away from your body. Then hold the stretch anywhere from 30 to 60 seconds, allowing your body to relax into the stretch more and more as you hold it. Let's see that again on the opposite side and go into a little more detail. Cross your right ankle over your left knee, creating a 4 shape. Lace your arms through and grab onto your left shin and gently pull your left thigh towards your chest while pressing your right knee away from your body. Grab on just below the knee and use that leg, your left leg, to enhance the stretch in the right hip as far as you feel comfortable. Should feel a pretty strong stretch in the outer hip and the right leg, and also maybe a little bit in the inner right thigh. But the main focus here on this side is the outer right hip and glute. Make sure to keep your back flat, your body in line, so your shoulders and hips are in line with each other. Try to keep your shoulders down on the ground as much as you can as well. You can hold the lying figure 4 hip and glute stretch for 1 to 2 sets of 30 to 60 seconds. If you do one hold, you can do one longer hold, or you can do 2 shorter holds. If you decide to do 2 shorter holds as opposed to 1 longer hold, you can alternate legs in between. Also, if this stretch is way too tough and you're way too tight, you can try simply just crossing the leg over and adding in a little pulse here to help loosen up the hip first. Just like what I'm doing here. And then I'm going to move into a recovery position with the arms out to the sides, palms facing up, legs extended, and you're just going to let the legs drop open to the side a little bit. Your hips rotate out. Everything just relax. This is an optional pose, but always highly recommended. Taking advantage of some of the strengthening and stretching exercises you just did, allowing those to take effect, feeling those positive effects, allowing them to continue a little bit longer. Just lie there focusing on your breathing, allowing your body to relax, enhancing some of those effects from the routine that you just did. There you have it, a hip, glute, and thigh stretching and strengthening routine that will help restore or improve function, enhance physical performance in a variety of regular daily activities, foundational exercises, workouts, and a wide range of sports. Not to mention shape, tone, and sculpt the inner thighs, outer hip and glute area, and even the core and a little bit of upper body as well. This is a routine that I designed and follow myself as a rotation in my regular workouts. Not every single part of it will be for everyone, and remember, you always want to check with your health professional first before starting this or any other exercise program, but many aspects of this routine will be suitable and benefit a lot of people. Many of the exercises I do in this routine, I do with my own clients and myself. If you'd like a customized workout routine and or the accountability and professional guidance to reach your health and fitness goals, working with me, a professional personal trainer and fitness instructor, visit my website. I put a link in the description below. You can contact me there for online or virtual training sessions or one-on-one personal training in the New York City area. I have a Bachelor of Science in Health Wellness and obtained the CSCS certification from the NSCA. I have over 15 years experience in the fitness industry, and I was ranked among the top 3 personal trainers in New York City by thumbtack.com. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more workout tips and tutorials like this, and I'll see you in the next video.